It's, it's
Hello, this is CJ. It's the Move Push Men's Group, our weekly meeting where we try to create and facilitate men's friendships. And I usually throw a couple topics out. And I sent a link to a YouTube video in our Telegram group last week, and we didn't get to it. But the title of the video is The Age of Male Indifference. And I think this is really interesting. Um, this video and the one I sent yesterday by the same author, this creator is following this trend of men essentially withdrawing from society. It started with romantic relationships, but it's continued on with men generally less interested, if completely disinterested, in self-improvement. So, and even really participating in society and things like that. I want to start with the romance part because that's what hit me. Um,
Wait a minute. I disagree. It wasn't about withdrawing from self-improvement. It
hmm,
was withdrawing from the narrative that society puts out of men's place in society.
yeah, that's a more
Go to
specific
school,
explanation.
get a
Thanks.
job, get married,
Hmm,
raise kids, live happily ever after.
right.
And and the premises I got was that, you know, can all that shit and improve yourself on your own terms.
Hmm. Okay. I think what's happening is you're remembering that first video better, and I'm remembering the one I listened to yesterday and shared a little better because he kind of took another step with it. So, but regardless, these are all pretty similar in that, the rules are different if for men now. And why this resonated with me is because I remember feeling, after my divorce, it's like, oh God, I'm a failure, I'm a failure at marriage. And then I needed to find a new relationship to feel more like a success as a man, plus to be a good example to my daughter, who was pretty young then. So, um, but what I concluded after watching these videos and some of the others I've seen is that a man doesn't need a romantic relationship necessarily to be a success, to be, complete. So I'm curious what you guys think of that. I know we have a couple married guys here and a couple who are not, so that may have something to do with your opinions, but I'm just kind of speaking in general, does a man need, a committed relationship with a woman to to feel like a success, to feel like he's doing what he should be doing in the world. I think the rules have changed, so that's what I'm throwing out there for discussion. Um, who wants to
I'll
go
say
first?
I will. Of course,
Okay.
I'll go. Um, since I had a stroke 18 years, 6 months ago, my desire for a romantic relationship has gone to the wayside.
Hmm.
Was replaced over the beginning years of me be getting closer to God, but also then becoming more of a now that I'm finding my way and they gave me a 3% chance of living. And now I'm showing them what 97% miracle looks like. I'm able to do things, and you, CJ, know this better, and as well as Craig. My capacity to give is immense. My helping of my community, and for that, I consider myself a huge success. And the fact that I'm able to do what I do with carbon now, and that what I've been able to do in the past here, just most recently, has been remarkable. And I am blessed beyond. I say it to my brother Jimmy every day. I pray. I go to rosary every morning. I'm thankful. And would a woman complicate it matters? Maybe. I'm 60 years old. I just turned 60 last week, so I think it would complicate matters. And it's really like, for for what for what reason? I'm happy. I'm really happy in my life. I have everything I need. I don't want for nothing.
Yeah, I think
So
you're an excellent example of this, what this author is trying to emphasize, or creator, I should say. But yeah, good stuff. Is this the first time you've been with us, Frankie?
this is my first time, and I
All
should have
right.
done it with the video on. But yeah, I feel that way strongly. I just I'm so very blessed.
It sounds
Um,
like a woman in your life might actually get in the way of some of the things you're trying to do.
a woman, if she got in my life, wouldn't tolerate it because she'd be like, "Fuck this, man. This guy's fucking ain't got time for me, dude." And they're like, "I'm bailing. I'm going early. I
That's
sniff this is not good."
uh that's the thing I'm
I'll
dealing
be
with a little bit.
volunteering for the Knights of Columbus next week, and I'm not into that.
Hmm.
Hey,
And when I watch some of the creators with the red pill stuff and the um new relationship approaches, the what they say is, you as a man, you set your life up the way you want, and then if a woman can come in and complement that, be an addition without getting in the way, then she's worth it. Otherwise, not.
there you go.
Which the first time I heard that, I thought it was really selfish. But when I hear someone like you give so much and then reach that conclusion on your own, it makes more sense to me now. So again, I'm not here to bash women, but
No, and I'm not bashing women. I have a
you
lot of
know,
women who are my friends, who are very good
mhm.
friends, but just not romantically, not interested.
Yeah, I think a man's purpose now can supersede that. All right, thanks for that, Frankie.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah. I got married quite a bit later in life. I was probably about 40 plus when I met my wife,
Mhm,
probably close to 45 when we got married. And so I was single for a long time, and that was a real challenge for me because I didn't want to be single.
mhm,
And but I did have this philosophy that it was actually better to be unhappy, unmarried and happy, or yeah, unhappy, whatever it was, not married and unhappy than married and unhappy, if that
mm,
makes sense.
okay.
Like being in a relationship that doesn't work is a lot worse than being on your own.
Yeah.
And there's I've just found that video just resonated with me because I don't know if most of you know, but my wife is Japanese, and I've been aware of the thing in Japan of boys not being interested in getting married and so on. And I put it more down to that they were into their video games and just being you know, by themselves, but the video put it into a much greater context of a different attitude. And the needs of society and the needs of life are definitely changing. And the overriding thought that came to me at the end of it as it went through was the world was in a state of overpopulation, and suddenly it's turned, and it's not because of war or because of um, other things that are killing the population off, disease and things like that. It's that people are just choosing not to have children. And I looked back into my not so much my own life, but my family life, and the number of people I know, like my brother, he was married much earlier than I was, had three children, and he's only got one grandchild.
Mm,
Um, and normally, you'd have five or six from three children. And then I look at my family, and my two kids, one of them's married, but there's no hint of any children. My other son's um hooked up with a girl, but I don't think she's capable of having children. She might be able to with intervention, but
Mm.
you know, that just doesn't bother them. Um, which initially I found really strange, but I'm actually starting to think about it differently.
Yeah. Yeah. The new generation doesn't value being a parent, like we did. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, except like Craig said, it's hurting our population in the West. The fear of a population explosion is not a thing anymore. So most birth rates in developed countries are less than replacement. So, and Craig mentioned Japan. It's South Korea, Italy, Greece, and even the U.S. to some degree. We solved some of our problems with immigration, but we've seen how that can be a problem in other countries. And but
I
what I wanted to know is, does anybody feel um, like you're less of a man if you don't have uh, a committed relationship? And I'm here to say no. So, not anymore.
well,
Mhm.
I think it's probably financially as much as anything that the next generation just doesn't see a way forward to being able to afford kids.
Mm,
I mean, they're struggling to afford their own lives,
sure.
is one thing. And I thought I watched both of them. I thought they were brilliant,
Mm,
a little long-winded, but and I a little bit on the other side of the spectrum because early on I sort of rejected the whole career thing. I first time I went to college, I flunked out brilliantly. I found the um, Glee Club, which was a drinking club, and I went up to Buffalo, New York, to college. And on a 4-point system, I wound up with a .63 average the end of the first semester. But I had a hell of a great time. And then the guidance counselor's suggestion was you need to go home and get a job and enroll in night school and prove to yourself that you can do it. So I said, okay. And I did. I went home and I got a job and I went to the college, which was right behind my mother's house there in Queens. And I had gone to Catholic school, grammar school, and high school segregated, boys only. I guess grammar school was co-ed, but high school was boys only. And then about halfway through the semester, I discovered the student lounge. And Queens College was a public school co-ed with all these little Jewish American princesses that I had never really been exposed to before, one hotter than the next. And then I spent every night in the fucking student union trying to get laid and uh, flunked out again.
Oh God. Oh God.
And then I went
Oh
on the
God.
road as a traveling salesman and then ultimately decided, all right, I guess I should buckle down. And I went into business and got, because I was there because I wanted to, I was on the dean's list for the first two semesters of it. And then I found the airport and I started flying and I had to fly past the airport to get to college. And but I managed to get through everything but statistics. It was an associate degree, but statistics never made sense. So anyhow, I was an outlier the whole, go to college, get a career. I did a million things in my life. That part never stuck, and I never got married. I guess I didn't get a. Well, I was a hippie. I went to Woodstock. It was the pill had come out, so it was drugs, sex, rock and roll, A lot of times you'd have sex and didn't even know the girl's name at that point. It's a whole new world that opened up.
Mm.
But I I then got into like a 16-year relationship and finally ending in marriage and then divorce not that long after. But it was because it was the best sex I ever had. So and now, yeah, I'm since I found the Philippines, I'm definitely I had a 4-year relationship there. I'm actively seeking a new one because I missed the skin on skin.
Mhm.
And it's
Okay,
too
well,
much
there's
trouble
that.
trying to just, being naked with a woman, not necessarily
Mm,
having sex, but just,
The
you
warm
know,
skin.
yeah, skin on skin, having
Yep, the warm
something,
flesh of a woman.
mm,
yep, something to put my hands on and
Yeah.
everything else.
mm,
And and it's too much fucking trouble getting to meet them and all the bullshit to get to that stage.
Uh,
So that's why I like long-term relationships. I'm looking for another long-term relationship.
so maybe we rename this group to the dating cycle.
But
Well,
but in a way, I think what you're saying, Paul, is that that's a part of this new thinking. You don't have to get married to have that. You
mhm,
don't have to have, you can have um, friends with benefits. You can, you know, just because you don't want to play in the old game doesn't mean that you don't want those benefits.
mhm,
But
Yep.
often the marriage game or the traditional way of playing the game, there was no benefits for me. Like one of the things that really resounded for me was, back in the day, the men's role and the woman's role was very different. And um, the man went to work and came home, and the wife looked after the house and the kids, and the roles were really defined. And as time moved forward, they covered this really well. Um, that suddenly, it's shared housework, shared cooking, shared responsibility, and yeah, the wife does go to work as well, but the whole relationship thing's all mixed up. And then if you don't get any sex, then what are you in the relationship for?
mhm.
Because there's nothing there.
Exactly.
And so many, you hear married men talk all the time about not getting any sex, whereas people that aren't married, like yourself, and there's you can pay for it, you can have casual friends with benefits. There's other ways of getting that intimacy. Um, I know it's not the same as a relationship, but when you start to weigh it up on the balance, it's like, well, you know, is it which one's better? And I think for some people, that new age thing is possibly better.
Mm.
Well, years ago when women's liberation started, I was all for it. And then I saw the end result of it, and I came up with a new philosophy that if dogs could give blowjobs, men would have nothing to do with women.
Okay, our chat today is
Yeah,
taking
well,
a turn, but
qualities
that's
other than
okay.
that myself. I tell you right now, I was a player when I was a kid. They
Hmm.
used to call me the silver-tongued devil.
Oh my.
And I tell you right now, I
Oliver had
didn't
some
get married
game back
until
in the
I was
day.
almost 34 years old. I got married. I
Mhm,
met my wife on a beach, and I knew right then I was going to marry that woman.
mhm,
It was weird. I was 34 years old. I never thought I'd get married. Well, less than a year later, we were married, and my first daughter was born shortly afterwards. And now we're going on 38 years. And I don't know what I'd do without her, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Don't
I've
know.
heard you talk about her like that before, so I thought it'd be
Congratulations.
interesting to have you on this call.
I
That's
Um,
mean,
success,
I
man.
depend on her so much. I just, I can't even describe it.
That's a blessing.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's a blessing to you. I mean,
that's man, that is for you to be like that. You receive
I
major
never
blessings.
thought I would get married. I was a confirmed bachelor,
Right, I got you.
and then boom, I'm married.
Hmm.
A year, not even a year after I met her, boom, it just happened like flash lightning.
So if I could pry a little bit, is your relationship more traditional, or do you share all the tasks, or how
Oh,
would you describe it?
we share all the tasks. We have pretty defined roles. There's a lot of things she does because I'm crappy at them.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like I don't do laundry. You know,
Laundry's not that
but
hard.
I do cook and I do dishes. I don't clean house very well, so that's pretty much her job. And, yeah, we have our roles. We both. I take the garbage out, stuff like that.
Hmm. Yeah, this may not be a great comparison, but living in Thailand, like when I tried to help with domestic things, my girl looks at me like, "What? What are you talking about? Sit down. You don't do this."
I'll tell
Um,
you one other thing that's
yeah,
really weird about my marriage. My wife loves to mow the yard.
How
that
about
is
that?
weird.
No problem with that.
My ex was like that. She liked yard work.
I
Our
understood.
electric
I
lawnmower,
understand that because
lawnmower,
I had a
love
compassion to cut my grass all the time in Chicago.
Hmm.
So I know that what she goes through. It's a
got her
desire.
electric, an ergo electric. It's about $600. You don't have to pull a cord. You just push a button. It's self-propelled.
Oh, nice.
She just loves that damn thing. She gets out there and she goes, "Oh, I got to mow the yard today." Okay.
Oh, she's on a runner. A little tractor.
So you know what I bought her next?
Hmm.
An electric edger.
Nice.
She loves
Better than an iron.
edging the yard. She loves it. She
Hmm.
goes around, edges her flower beds and edges her garden and she just edges and I go up for it. I don't care. In the
Mm,
meantime, I'm sitting here writing algorithms in Python code. And that's the thing about that I want to talk about real quick. I have to back away from that. I need to realize I need to back away from that. I've been in that rabbit hole 6 months now, and I need to back away and just take a break from it.
well, that helps. That actually helps make a point here. When you're in a relationship that you value, you have to make time for it, and often at the expense of the thing you really want to do. So, um,
That's the thing, I mean,
yeah.
you got to make time for the better half, and she doesn't ask a lot of me. So when she does ask me to do things, I try to do them. She doesn't put a lot of demands on me, and I got it really good.
All right.
I mean, she doesn't bitch. She doesn't yell at me. I mean, she doesn't get mad at me hardly. Though sometimes she does, but I mean, she just I don't know how to describe her. She's just
All
totally
right.
opposite.
I just glanced at my notes. I want to say something before I forget. If you're watching this on the recording, obviously we'd rather have you live, but I will pin the videos we've been talking about if you're not in our Telegram group, the age of male indifference and the follow-up one, so you can get an idea of what we're talking about. Does a man need a romantic relationship, a committed romantic relationship, to be a success in life? And we're all talking about our experiences with that. So thanks for that, Oliver. Anything else on that
I think in
subject?
7 centuries or more, it's nice to have a companion around to
Mm.
share things with, but I they say you live longer when you're married. I don't know if that's true or not, but
Yeah, I'd be interested to see some updates on some of those studies. I remember them, but I think they're older studies from maybe the 80s and 90s. I'm curious if that rule still is still valid, though I know women tend to uh, demand that their men go to the doctor.
There you go.
And men
Bingo.
usually don't do that
Yeah,
on their own if they not
right
feeling
there.
something urgent. So,
Men hate going to the doctor. You know what? My wife saying, go to the damn doctor. I wouldn't go.
right. So that might be why that you know, those statistics are
Yeah,
like that.
it's really good. Good. I only take one medication for my hormone, thyroid hormone. I'm 71 years old. I take nothing. My blood pressure was 121/77 this morning.
Jeez.
So, keep
Yeah,
going.
see, I'm kind of the outlier on that too. I never had any problem going to the doctor or the dentist.
Mm.
Always had
I hate them
problems,
both.
never really had like a real job. Well, you know, not that lasted more than 6 months working for somebody else. So
Mm.
I've always been a rebel on that, but I've always liked long term. I mean, with my wife, we were together 16 years on and off. And my next one was with a Colombian, and we were together for 12 years. And then the one, my wife was a Filipina from Hawaii. And then my last one was 4 years with a Filipina in the Philippines. And now I'm looking for one more to take me out. So, I,
One more to ride
I,
out
God bless you, man.
with.
well, I thought I would still be with the last one. I was sending her to nursing school. I forget. When I went to the Philippines, that was on my list. Find somebody to send to nursing school. I figured in 4 years I could use a private nurse. They'd have a career and a guaranteed job,
Mhm.
and then they'd be rich when I finally kicked the bucket. But she decided she wanted to have her whole years before she was 25. So I said, all right, go ahead, knock yourself
Yeah,
out.
they do that now. The hoe phase. All right.
There was one element of this of the discussion that hasn't come up, and that's the financial side of it. I
Mm,
remember back in the day, there were dinks, double income, no kids,
yeah,
and
thanks.
then there was the gay couples who double well they were dinks as well in a way, but different scenario because they were never going to have kids. Um, but they, when you were in marketing or things, they were almost the target markets for stuff because
Hmm.
they had the financial
Access.
disposable income that families didn't have. And that was another thing that this video touched on is the financial situation of what they were talking about of, not getting married and not running down the financial advantage of it. Because one of the quickest ways to get poor is to be in a relationship and split up. Um,
Yeah.
that halves your net worth instantly, and
Well,
sometimes more.
marriage.
Yeah, marriage, but
Yeah,
breaking up from a
divorce, but
marriage, divorce.
it's what he means. But go ahead. Mhm.
Yeah. Um, and so, a lot of these people that are choosing not to get married are much better off financially,
Mhm.
if they're in careers or and a lot of them are doing what they want to do rather than being forced. Because one of the biggest problems in a relationship is you can't just leave your job because you've got responsibilities and
Mhm.
commitments and it's sometimes you're in jobs you hate for years and years and years. So and that's a whole side. I mean, we looked at the relationship side, but we didn't actually look at the financial side.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm still dealing with the ramifications of my divorce that happened in 2007, and probably will be for another 10 years or so.
Wow.
but that was my own bad decision making. And but again, if the structure wasn't set up the way Craig's talking about, where if you get divorced in the Western world, you're going to lose a significant amount of what you saved for, what your income is, depending on how the whole child support alimony thing works out. And young men have seen their fathers, older brothers, and uncles, whatever, go through that process, and they're just going, no, not going to happen. And with the high failure rate of marriage, I think it's a reasonable choice to go, I don't think so. The juice ain't worth the squeeze, you know.
Mm.
Um,
It all depends where you get divorced. My parents divorced when I was 16 in Texas,
mhm,
and women didn't have a lot of rights in Texas back then.
mhm,
And my mother got screwed over big time. Her and the four of us kids were stuck in an apartment. My father was paying piddly shit Southport
mhm.
until we were 18, and then we were all cut off. And I watched my mother struggle. So I just think that some men can get away with it better than others. And nowadays, that's probably not the case, but back then that was the case, at least in my experience in Texas.
Well,
I
what's
grew up,
happened is what happens a lot.
this is in Houston, Paul, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm
the
sorry.
society sees the inequity like that and then way overcorrects. So I think that's what's going on now. But,
Yeah, when I was growing up, almost nobody got divorced.
mm,
I don't think any of my parents' friends had got divorced.
Rarely. All my
Mhm.
aunts and uncles, same. Big Catholic family.
mm,
Very
Yeah,
rarely.
and then my generation, most everybody got divorced. I have one friend who's still married, like more than 50 years. And yeah, if you got a relationship, I think it's a good partnership is a great way to go. But
Hey, Paul, how old are you? May I ask?
81,
81? My God, you
yeah.
look good. Brother, you keep going, man.
he's our senior,
Thank-
our seasoned member.
I'll tell you, if I'm gonna be swept off my feet, it's gonna be by an amazing woman who just trumps me on my giving. And
Mm.
I know that she's out there and whatever. I think big, but I think more big in the short term of things.
Go to the Philippines. They're still out there.
Yeah.
I know they are. I know they are. I've been told.
And
I wouldn't want to come back. I mean, I really wouldn't.
hey, I
Uh,
didn't. I went there. I got stuck on vacation. I got stuck there with COVID. Changed my life.
Mm.
I got a couple friends who'd be happy, that's for sure.
Well, I will
So
say
what you
this,
went
the,
through,
the the women in
it,
Southeast Asia, they don't make them like that in the West. So
All
that's another Zoom call for and another agenda. So, but
right,
but
guy.
Frankie, what you went through was one of my biggest fears is having a stroke, because my
mm,
uncle had one. Had twice he got incapacitated. Came back from the first one, and then the second one he was probably down. He never really fully recovered from that. And one of my oldest friends, a kid I grew up with, had a real bad stroke. And so I've seen how difficult that is to come back from.
Yeah,
And I'm saying, oh,
it is.
give me a heart attack anytime, but please, not a stroke.
I'll tell you what, it took a lot of interpersonal strength of like, no, I am not going to be this way. And no, you can't tell me that I'm never going to walk again. I am going to walk, and you can't tell me otherwise. And I took one step at a time, and one step at a time, and one step got a little faster. Then when we got to my mom and dad's house on the Mississippi River in the United States, it was one of the longest rivers. They had a house on the river. I told my niece, I said, "Can I hold your shoulders and walk down the the edge of the down to the water?" She's like, "Do you think that's a good idea, Uncle Frankie?" I go, "Why?" She goes, what if you fall? I said, are you going to fall? She goes, no, I'm not going to fall. I go, the only way that I'm going to fall is if you fall. So if you're not going to fall, I'm not. So, it was at that point that a lot of inner strength came out, a lot of like inner goodness, a lot of my Catholicism already had come out. I met people from a stroke support group, which I now embrace and I support, and I go to get empowered by it. And not only do I get empowered, but I leave everybody empowered because there's so much to be. There's all the shit that we think we have to worry about doesn't mean shit.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it doesn't mean shit. You and I, mano a mano, this conversation, this is what means something right now. When I get off the computer with you guys, I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna have a nightly game of cribbage with my brother Jimmy because that's what we do, because that's what brothers do. And you know what? I'm grateful for that, and I am graced by CJ, by you coming and visiting me, Craig, for your help. Oliver, we haven't talked in a while. It's nice to see you again. And Paul, nice to meet you, sir.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Is
this
that that's
group's
your out? That's your out, CJ.
all right.
That,
Well, I like how this group's coming together. I love that you joined us today, Frankie. You're not only a friend but an inspiration, and I hope you stick with us as much as
hey,
reasonably
I told you
consistently.
I can
Hey,
do it once a
Frankie.
month. Once a
Mm.
month.
Once a month.
Hey, hey, Frankie, I'm hoping to get to visit you one day if they let me in.
Hey, come on, man. Let's go. Yeah, I'll pick you up at the airport, bro.
Well,
We'll be
they
all
got to let
set.
me into the States first.
Okay, well,
It's
you
not
get to
easy,
the
man.
States, get to Phoenix, and I'll get you picked up. All
What
right,
Craig's
guys.
talking
Have a good
about is
night.
a difficult visa to
I
get in
know
the
it's a
U.S.
difficult in to get into the States.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's bound to be something on my social media about Trump that'll stop me getting in.
Oh, that's why.
Mm.
Listen,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
born
you're
and
marked.
raised.
Craig, you're marked already. You're done. You got a target.
I'm I'm born and raised here, and I hold my butt every time I come through immigration. Just waiting to say, "Sorry, pal, we're taking your passport."
Mm. Well, let's hope it doesn't come to
Okay.
that. We decided a few weeks ago to make this a sort of a two-tier meeting, in that the first one we talk a little more in general, though this was kind of spicy, about things that are okay for the recording, and then we'll stop the recording and talk about anything that's more personal to us to not be recorded. So we're gonna wrap up the recording here. If you're watching on the recording, I'm glad for that, though I'd rather see you live. Check out um, the links in either the description or the pinned comment, and hopefully those videos will stir some thoughts and some conclusions in your head like they have for us. So we'll see you next time. Bye.